Hey guys, it's Garth Humphreys. How's it going? Today we're going to look at setting up a sidechain in Reaper. Now, what is a sidechain? Basically, when you have the audio on one track affecting the effects on another track. Now, there's lots of situations where this might be a useful effect to have. You might have the kick drum affecting, getting a pumping sound in some synths, or gating a bass if your bass player was a bit off or something like that. But the example I'm going to show today is what you might use for a voiceover where you have background music. So the background music will be playing, and when the voice comes in, it lowers the volume of that background music, or it ducks that background music. There's a few concepts that we need to cover to get there, and let's do a little bit of a revision. So I'm quickly going to set up a new project in Reaper.
Reaper.
So Command T,
Track name, edit text,
and
blank.
we'll call this music.
M-U-S-I-C.
First
Unsaved
track,
project.
and Command T again.
Track.
For the vocal track.
V-O-C-L. Unsaved project.
So we have our two tracks.
1 music, 0 items. 2 vocal, 0 items.
Let's record a little bit of vocal. So we'll arm the track with F7.
Armed.
I'm going to hit R to start recording. Hey guys, and welcome to this generic bit of voiceover for an example of setting up a sidechain. We'll look at a number of different... I hope you enjoy it and find it useful.
Select files to save or delete. Files recorded. Prompt to save/delete/rename new files.
Okay, so I have now hit the spacebar to stop recording, and it's giving me this prompt to save. Let's
Delete all button. Delete select, rename selected, save all, default button. Press save, unsaved
save
project.
our file. Now,
102-vocal-170.
so we have our little bit of voiceover with some mistakes in there.
Reaper 64.
I'm going to go Command left arrow
102-vocal-170-820 underscore.
to select that item, and I'm just going to actually do a quick edit on it first. Hey guys, and welcome to this generic bit of voiceover for an example of setting up a sidechain. I'll pause there. I'm going to hit A to split at that point.
1 item added.
And I'll go a bit further forward. We'll look at a number of different... And hit A again to split after that one.
1 item added.
I'm going to check my ripple state of my track with Option Shift P.
Ripple all tracks.
Ripple all tracks. Now, being this is the only track with any audio on it at the moment, that's fine. I can leave it on Ripple all tracks for the moment.
302-vocal-2
And I've hit Command left arrow to jump back to the second item. So we've split this currently into 3 items. The first one, the second one with the stuff I want to get rid of, and then the third item. So when I delete this item with delete,
1 item removed.
it'll remove that, and it will move the third item into the second item's place. So
202.
this is now the second item. I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. Cool. So there's a fair bit of silence there, which I want to leave just so that the music track can come up and down in the demo. Now, let's jump back to the beginning.
Beat 10%.
Control Home, or the W key actually.
1 music, 0 items.
And I'll go up and select my music track. So Command I, I'm going to insert a bit of audio on here. I'll grab some music. Go to my downloads folder.
Dueling mixes. Folder. Bright. Business free. Dreams become real. Underline. Fireworks. Melodic acoustic advert. Dreams become real.
Let's go with that one.
Unsaved project. Reaper V5.
This will be Building Peaks.
Open project. New project. 2 vocal, 2 items. 1 music, 1 item. 1 dreams dash.
Okay. Now I'm actually going to bring the volume of that entire item down a little bit because it's right up.
Please wait dialogue. Analysis.
So just pause speech there. I use Command Shift K to analyze the volume of that item.
Peak level. Okay. The peak level. Channel 1 equals 0.00 dB. Channel 2 equals 0.00 dB. RMS level. Channel 1 equals 14.87 dB. Channel 2 equals 14.97 dB.
So we have a peak right up at 0 dB and an RMS of 14. So I might actually take the volume of this item down a little bit.
Okay. Default button. Press unsaved project. Unsaved. 1 dreams dash.
So I can actually turn down the volume of the item. So this is not the same as turning down the volume of the track, but the item with Shift Page down, and I'm going to hit that 6 times. There's no Asara feedback for this. There we go, 6 times. Okay, and if I use the Command Shift K again...
Please dialogue. Item Peak level, channel 1 equals 6.00 dB, channel 2 equals 6.00 dB. RMS level, channel 1 equals 20.87 dB, channel 2 equals 20.97 dB.
Okay.
Okay, default unsave
And
project.
you can see that that item is now peaking at minus 6 dB.
One music, one item.
So we have our music track with one item, that piece of music, and we have
Two vocal, two items.
2 items on our vocal track. Now, I'm just going to go and jump to the vocal items.
102 dash vocal dash.
I'm going to hit Command-Shift-JJ to get the time of when that item is.
Bar 6 minutes 1.482 seconds.
6 minutes in. So I had it on Ripple All Tracks, you'll remember. I inserted an item at the beginning of the track, so it has pushed the vocal that I already had on there 6 minutes into the project, okay? When you're adding things to a track, it's really important to remember your ripple state. So let's actually select these 2 items and move them back to a more appropriate location. Firstly, I'm going to turn ripple off. Otherwise, when I paste them back in earlier in the track, if I leave it on Ripple All Tracks, it will split my music and insert it in the middle of the music. I don't want it to do that. I don't want it to affect any other tracks, so I'm going to turn Ripple off.
Ripple off.
There we go. So remembering that was Alt-P to cycle through our ripple modes.
Ripple per track. Ripple all tracks. Ripple off. 102 dash.
So I'm on the first item, and I'm going to hit Command-Shift right arrow. That will move to and select the second item, leaving the first item selected.
202 dash vocal dash 170.
Pause speech again there. So I've got both of those items selected. I'm going to cut those with Command X.
2 items removed.
2 items removed. I'm going to jump to the beginning of my project with Command Home.
Bar 1 beat 10%.
And let's find a place to insert this audio. Let's just put it here. Now remembering there's a fair bit of silence before these items start anyway, so it's not going to be a very precise location for where I'm pasting them, but that's fine in this situation.
2 items added.
And I've added those 2 items, and I'm going to go back to the beginning again with Command Home. Hey guys, and welcome to this generic voiceover. For an example, I'm setting... Okay, now pause that. And as you can hear, can't hear my voice at all. Okay, so let's actually normalize those 2 items as well. So we'll bring the volume of those items up.
102 dash vocal dash
1, and I'm going to select the second one as well.
202 dash.
Now, normalizing. I don't think we've covered this one yet, so I'm going to put the F12 on.
Shortcut help on.
Shift N.
Item properties. Normalize multiple items to common gain.
So it will analyze both of those items, find the peak, and turn the items up to that point, keeping the relative volumes of the items the same. We also have Command-Shift N.
Item properties. Normalize items.
Which is just normalize items. So each item would be normalized to its own peak. In this situation, we're going to go with Shift N.
Shortcut help off. 10.
Hey guys, and welcome to this generic bit of voiceover. And as you can hear, that is quite a bit louder. But now what we want to do is have it so that this voice, the volume of my voice on the voice track affects the audio on the music track and actually turns it down. We're going to use a compressor to do that, so just the built-in Ray comp to actually do the ducking. But we need to set up our sidechain. So I just want to quickly cover how audio flows through your Reaper project, and that'll help understand when we're setting up our sends and receives and things like that. At the moment, we have 2 tracks here.
1 music, 1 item. 2 vocal, 2 items.
Our music track and our vocal track. Both of those have items on them, and that's our source audio, if you like. So if we think of our source audio flowing in through any input effects, which we don't have in this case, onto our track, it would then go through any standard effects, a track volume and pan. It would then flow through to our master track. Let's make that visible with Command Option M.
Master track visible. 1 music, master.
And then flow through to its output, which would be, in my case, the headphones that I have plugged in here. So just to quickly cover that again, we have audio coming in from the actual file into our track. From the track, it goes through to the master. And if we're rendering something, That's what we're rendering, the output of that master track. And of course, onto our actual hardware output on our device that we have selected. So a send or a receive, one's where it comes from, one's where it's going, is basically a way of routing that audio from one track to another. So I can set up a send.
One music, one item. Two vocal, two item.
From my vocal track and send it to my music track. If I just set up a send to go from my vocal track to my music track, I would have a copy of my vocal track still going straight to the master. I'd have another copy of it going to the music track. And from there, it would be mixed with the music track and go on to the master. Now, I really don't want two copies of my vocal track going through to the master in this situation, just the one. So another situation where you might use a send or receive is setting up, say, a drum bus. So let's say you have 4 or 5 tracks of a drum kit. You want them all to go through the same compressor. Rather than putting separate copies of the compressor on each drum track, you could send all of those drum tracks to a drum bus. And in Reaper, we could just set up a track and call it the drum bus. On each of the tracks that we send to the drum bus, we could turn off the master send. So the only copy of that track that's going through to the master would be the one that's going through the drum bus. Put our effect on that drum bus. Then when we played our project, all of the tracks would be sent to the drum bus, have the compressor applied, and then be sent on to the master track. Another use of a send might be where you have a vocal track. Say it's a singer, and you want to control the amount of reverb. Now, there's a number of ways of doing that, but one way you could do it would be to have a vocal track, send it to a reverb track. So you put the reverb on the second track. Your vocal track, the clean, unprocessed signal is still going through to the master, but a copy of it goes off to your reverb, and then you could control the amount of reverb by turning the volume of that track up and down. So there's lots of ways you might want to use a send. Now, in our situation here, we still want our main vocal track to go through to the master. That's what we actually want to hear. But what we're using the vocal to do also is to control the loudness of the music track. So we want to send it to the music track, but we don't want to hear it on the music track. We just want it to affect the audio that's already existing on that music track. So, how do we do this? Let's go up to our music track.
One music, one item.
I'm going to hit the letter I. This views the I/O for that current track. So hit the letter I.
Routing for track 1, music, window, plus 0.00. Content selected, edit text.
In here, the first thing we're going to do...
MIDI hardware output, plus 0.0 dB. Track channels.
Track channels.
2, pop-up button.
So at the moment, this is a standard stereo track, 2 channels. We're going to change this to 4. So I'm going to VO on here.
Menu check mark 2, 4.
And change that to 4 channels.
Press 4, pop-up button.
So what we're going to be doing is sending the audio from our vocal track to our music track, but instead of sending it to channels 1 and 2, we're going to send it to channels 3 and 4. So the music will still exist on channels 1 and 2, but the vocal will exist on channel 3 and 4. But for the output of this track, we're still only going to be sending channels 1 and 2 onto our actual master track. So that's all we're going to hear. We're not going to hear that second copy of the vocal, but it still will exist in this track. So step 1, we've changed our music track to a 4-channel rather than a 2-channel track.
Less than no output greater than, pop-up button, plus 0.0 center, track pan, send to original channels, pop-up button, pan. Center, content selected, edit text, width, 100%, 100, receives. Sends.
Okay, sends and receives, here we are. Now, we're already on our music track, so rather than going out of here into our vocal track and setting up a send, we're going to set up a receive. So it's the same thing. I can set up a receive on this track or a send from the other track. It's the same thing. At the moment, we're on the track where we want it to be receiving audio. So let's go and set up a receive.
Add new receive, pop-up button.
I'll hit that.
Menu checkmark, add new receive ellipsis.
On Windows, you might want to Alt down arrow to open up this drop down.
2, vocal.
And we have 2 vocal there. I've just arrowed down.
Add receives from all tracks.
Add receives from all tracks.
Checkmark, add new receive ellipsis. 2, vocal.
And in this case, we've only have track 2, which is our vocal track. So I'm going to VO space on that.
2, vocal, pop-up button. Add new send. Pop-up button. Receive from track 2. Vocal.
There we are. Receive from track 2 vocal.
Delete button.
And we have a delete button if we want to get rid of it. Now on Windows, some of these dialogues are easier to get to if you use the applications key on this delete button, okay? That'll help you send up some of the other options that we're about to explore now on the Mac.
Audio hardware outputs. Plus 0.00. Center. Content. Mute button. Phase/polarity. Mono button. Send type. Post fader. Post pan. Selection box. Add new hardware output. Pop-up button. Plus 0.00. Center. Pan. MIDI volume/pan. Envelopes and automation. Audio. Text.
Okay, this is what we're looking for where it says audio text here. This is the audio of that receive that we have selected at the moment.
1. Source audio channel. 1/2. Selection box.
So the source audio at this stage is channels 1 and 2 of our vocal track. That's fine.
Text. Destination audio channel. 1/2. Selection box.
At the moment, the destination audio channel is channels 1, 2 of our music. We, as I said, want this to go to channels 3, 4. So let's change that here.
Menu. Checkmark. 1/2. 2/3. 3/4.
There's our 3, 4.
Choose item. 1. Destination audio channel. 3/4. Selection box. MIDI. Text.
And now we're into MIDI. That's all we need to do. So just to cover that again, what we've done. On our music track, we've converted it to a 4-channel track. We've set up a receive from our vocal track so that it comes from channels 1, 2 on the standard stereo pair on our vocal track into channels 3, 4 of our music track. Our music track, we're still only listening to channels 1 and 2 of that music track, so we're not hearing the second copy of the vocal. And in this dialogue, that's all we need to do.
Unsaved project.
So
Unsaved.
I'll close that there. Now let's add the compressor to that music track. So I'm going to hit the F.
2 vocal. 2. 1 music. 1 item.
So I'm still on our music track. I'm going to hit F.
Add FX2. Track. Clear filter. OK. Cancel button. OK. Clear comp filter. Table. Table. Row 6 in table. AE. AU. VST. VST3. VST. VA. J. Re. Instruments. Cocos. Table. In table. Row 1 of 27. FX. VST. Recomp. Cocos. Default
And
preset
recomp is
selected.
the one we want.
FX. Track 1. Music. Window. Table. Row 1 of 1.
Okay. Now firstly, let's go in here.
Table. Edit text. Blank. Button. No. Pop. You. Checked. Plus 0. Precomp. 0. 0. MS. Wet. Dry. Attack. 3.0. 3 point envelope. MS. Release. 100. 100. MS. Unchecked. Classic. Unchecked. Auto. Ratio. 1.0. 1.01.
We'll come back to a lot of these settings that we will need to change.
Plus 0. Inf. Dry. Output mix. Recomp. Knee size. 0.0. dB. Detector input. Main input L plus R. Pop-up button.
Detector input.
Detector input. Main input L plus R. Pop-up button.
Main input, left and right. And we need to change that.
Menu checkmark. Auxiliary input L plus R.
Auxiliary input, L plus R.
Auxiliary input L plus R.
That is your tracks 3 and 4. So what we're telling our compressor to do, don't listen to tracks 1 and 2, the main audio channels here. Listen to tracks 3 and 4. So use tracks 3 and 4 to actually trigger the compressor. Now remembering basically what a compressor does is turn down the volume of the audio coming out of it based on the audio coming into it. So anything that goes over a given threshold will be turned down by an amount equal to the ratio we select. We also have a pre-comp, which is like a look ahead, an attack time and a release time. So I'm going to set those up now in a way that should work okay.
Param 4 and 2 U checked checkbox plus 0 points precomp plus 0 points plus 0.0 content select.
So this is our threshold.
Selection replaced dash 3 6
And
3 6
put that at 36.
dB high pass dB 3 6 precomp 0 precomp slider
And our pre-comp
0 content
has a maximum value of 250 milliseconds. That's the furthest look ahead it can do.
2 5 0
And I will set it to
2 5
that.
0 3.0 3.0 attack
This is our attack.
3.0 content selected edit
So an attack of 3 milliseconds means it'll go from doing no compression to the complete amount of compression it's going to do within 3 milliseconds. We want it to take a little bit longer, so we'll put it as 200 milliseconds for the attack here.
selection replaced 2 0 0 2 1 0 0 content selected
And a release of 100, we're actually going to take that one up to, let's say, 500. So half a second to fade the volume back up again.
selection 0 0 500 unchecked auto release
Auto release,
ratio
no.
1.0 ratio
Our ratio.
1.0 content
Now, a ratio of 1 to 1 will do nothing. It's basically saying, turn it down by nothing, okay? we're going to take that up to 6.
Selection replaced. 6.
So anything coming above minus 36 dB will be turned down by a ratio of 6. We have our threshold at minus 36. If a peak came through right up at 0 dB or 36 dB above our threshold, we have this set to turn down by 6 to 1. So we've got 36 dB of volume coming in over our threshold. Divide that by 6, we have 6 dB of volume coming in over our threshold. So something coming in at a peak level of 0 dB will be turned down to 36 dB plus the 6 dB over, or minus 30 dB. Now, if that maths didn't make sense, don't worry about it, okay? Just know that you want to play with your threshold, have that down fairly low in this situation, so you're really squashing the background audio, and you need a ratio of, a relatively high ratio, 6, 8, something like that. And the only other thing you need to know is that your attack and release and pre-comp will determine how quickly your audio is affected by the compressor.
1 plus 0.inf output mix recomp knee size 0.0 0.0
No knee. We don't want a knee on this one.
dB detector and auxiliary input L plus R.
We have our auxiliary L plus R for our detector. So remember listening to tracks 3 and 4.
Low pass 20020 Hertz plus 0 inf 36 dB. High pass 0 hit 0 Hertz. Unchecked add button. Remove button. Threshold RMS size 5.0 RMS size 5.0 content
and we don't want
delete.
any RMS in this case.
Close
Okay.
button.
Let's close that and have a listen to see
Press
how we
close
go.
button.
Hey guys, and welcome to this generic bit of voiceover for an example of setting up a sidechain. I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. Now, we could go in there and play with those settings a little bit more if we wanted to, but for now, that's basically getting the job done. Just to quickly cover this off again, because it is fairly complicated. What we've done is firstly go in with I to view the I/O of our music track. We've set that track to have 4 channels. We've set up a receive to that track so that it's receiving audio from our vocal track. And we've set the destination of that receive to channels 3 and 4 of our music track. So we have our vocal track still going through to our master track. We're still hearing it, but it's sending a copy to our music track. We then set up a compressor on that music track and told it to listen to the auxiliary channels, or channels 3 and 4. So channels 3 and 4 are what trigger the compressor. However, the compressor affects tracks 1 and 2 as well. So when there's audio on our vocal track, it will automatically compress the music on our music track. So I hope you find this helpful. Thank you so much for listening, and bye for now.